Hey, good morning everybody. So today we are going to be doing a practice for the hips and the pelvis. Very gentle, 20 minutes to get us started for the day. So, sorry, knock you over. Okay, so we're going to begin by sitting down. Actually, let's begin by lying down. Make sure you've got some cushions. I've got 3 cushions here. Hips really like to have cushions, so before you get started, maybe have some cushions nearby. I'm going to use one for my head. I'm going to lie down on my back and get super comfy. Just pick your hips up and move them away a little bit further down the mat so your lower back comes closer towards the floor. And let's bring your palms to your lower tummy, so beneath your tummy button. And take a couple of breaths here. See if you can feel some movement going on in the belly as you breathe. So as you inhale, there's a very gentle but real, definite expansion. And as you exhale, tummy drops back towards spine. So svadisthana chakra is our chakra this week, and that is the pelvis and the hips. And it's everything to do with the element of water and flow. And water and flow takes us into feelings and emotions. So this is the territory that we're working with when we work with our hips. So if I'm doing a full vinyasa class on hips, I'll often warn people that strong feelings and emotions can rise while you're doing hip work. Sometimes people get very emotional and teary, other times very angry, and sometimes very playful. It just depends what's going on. And it doesn't mean that there is some sort of long forgotten trauma wedged in the cells of your body. I think the hips and the pelvis are just this, it's almost like a storeroom, a basement, where we place things that we're not yet ready to deal with. And so when we then start to activate and move and take our light of our awareness into our pelvis, it creates a safe space for those feelings and those emotions to rise. So there's nothing to worry about with any of that. The process is the feeling. So as you feel it, it's released and gone. So you're doing the work just by allowing the feelings to happen. Okay, bring your knees in towards your chest and bring them in nice and tight. And then start to do some circles as you breathe. So you may already know, you might be aware enough to have noticed that feelings rise and fall like waves within us. You can sometimes feel them rush through your body, like the rush of blood to your cheeks, or that it's not a all over body experience immediately, it definitely moves through us when we feel strong feelings. Okay, changing direction. And of course we are 70% water. So most of the chemical reactions are happening through the watery element of us. The chemicals change and are transported by the water systems within us. Well done. And then take your hands and just hold on to your shins and rock from side to side. So you're feeling into the lower spine and the pelvis. And then from here you might take your feet up, but that might be too strong for first thing in the morning, so if it is, just hold on to the shins. But if you're okay with it, then hold on to the feet, and the knees are dropping out either side of the armpit. So it is definitely the least glamorous yoga pose. You don't often see Instagram shots of this pose. But my goodness, is it full of deliciousness for your hips. And you might even rock all the way over to one side and then to the other, depending on if you have furniture close to you. And then bring the feet together. Perhaps you can hold interlinked fingers. So the feet are together and the knees are apart. And the heels drop down towards your pelvis. Take a nice deep breath in and a deep breath out. You're still fine if you're holding onto your shins. Just guide your feet towards one another. Well done. And then release and bring the feet to the floor. And drop the knees in, so the feet are wide apart, the knees are together, and we're going to windscreen wiper those legs, exhaling as they go down to the side, inhaling as they come up to center, and exhaling down the other side. Okay, and then coming back to center. And let's just take the right knee in towards us and give that a hug. So if you're feeling a little bit creaky, early morning, older body self, then keep this left knee bent. If you want to make it a little bit more dynamic, then straighten the leg down to the floor. Both are good. If the leg is straightened, then use that heel as an anchor. So it's not just kind of placidly hanging out there. It's very definitely working. The heel is grounding you. And you're going to rock your right knee from side to side for a little bit. Maybe start to do some circles. Your left hand can support your left hip. Again, keeping you anchored. And then release the right hand out to the side and do some really big circles into the hip. You might want to drop the eyelids and slow those circles down so you become really familiar with the feeling state as you circle. Where feels good, where feels less good. And you feel any clunks or clicks. And then switch directions, noticing the contrast of moving one way and then the other. One more big circle. And then take the knee up. You're going to bring the left hand over to that right knee as you drop the knee over to the side. So try to keep your shoulders flat to the floor. Doesn't matter how far this knee goes. It certainly doesn't need to go towards the floor, or rather to touch the floor, but it's heading in that direction. And you might use your left hand as a little bit of a extra weight. So you get a nice twist in the spine. Notice that you're still breathing here. Notice that the left foot is still your anchor, still pressing down into the floor. And notice how your breath feels here. Your right arm can extend over to the right. Inhaling as you come back up. Hug that knee in. And thread the right hand, catch hold of the foot. So you're taking a one-sided happy baby. And again, this might feel more comfortable with the left leg bent. It's up to you. Move it around, wriggle it. And then sliding the left heel in. You're going to place the foot across on the opposite thigh, pressing the knee away from you. And then you're going to thread your hands either side of your thigh as you draw your knee in and rock from side to side. So all of this should be feeling delicious. We're definitely never moving into a place where there's any pinching, or even if you feel the need to hold your breath, then move out of that space. And release the hands, unravel the legs, and bring the legs up and give them a little shake. And then soften the knees. Take hold of the knees And drop the knees out to the side. So you've got your knees wide apart and rock the pelvis from side to side here. And then we're going to do that whole set over on the other side. So the left knee is going to come in and the right leg can either stay bent, foot on the floor, or you can extend it down to the floor. You can hug your knee in towards your chest and do some little rocking from side to side. So the left hand can be placed on the left knee, and let's bring the right hand to the right hip. So be sure that the foundation's in place through the right leg. Heel is anchoring you, hip is anchoring you, and then start to do some circles with the left knee. And as the knee starts to make bigger circles, perhaps the left hand comes down to the floor. And you might do tremendously big circles as you slow down the movement. And try to thread the breath in consciously, inhaling as the knee comes up, and exhaling as the knee goes away. And then switching directions. Well done. One more time, and then you're going to take the right hand up to meet the left knee and guide it gently across the body. Left arm is out to the side to give you a little bit of support. Trying to keep the shoulders flat to the floor if you can. Push down through the right foot and notice how that lets you lengthen your spine a little bit more. Inhale as that knee comes back up to center. Bring the left hand, see if you can catch hold of the foot, taking a one-sided happy baby. Make it explorative. And then sliding the right heel up, take the foot across. Knee presses away from you, that might be enough for today, or perhaps thread your hands around the back of your right thigh and rock from side to side. And then releasing the legs. Let's take hold of the shins again. And make a little playful happy baby here with both legs. And then extend the legs up high, give them a shake. Okay, and then bringing them down to the floor. We're going to roll to the side. I'm going to come up onto all fours. Okay. So on all fours, I've got a little blanket thing because I find it comfortable on my knees. So you might want to grab a blanket for your knees if that's the same for you. Hands beneath shoulders, knees beneath hips, or a little bit wider perhaps. Take a little bit of cat and cow for a moment to feel into the spine and to start to let the pelvis tilt with your breath. Tailbone points up as you inhale, and as you exhale, tailbone points down. And naturally you'll find that your spine starts to follow, rippling with your breath and the movement. And we'll start to take a bit of a sideways movement. So maybe taking your gaze to your left heel, dropping the left shoulder back towards the left hip. And then inhaling to center, taking your gaze over towards your right heel, dropping the right shoulder back towards the right hip. Going from side to side. And then start to make some circles with the hips. And swapping direction. Okay, and then walking your hands a little further forward. And as long as your knees feel comfortable doing this, you can take your hips forward and start to take really big circles back. So the hips almost skim past the heels as you go back. Inhaling forwards, exhaling back. Very deliberately working the breath into the movement. And then changing direction. And coming back up to center. Walk the hands a little closer. We're going to slide the right knee up in front of you. And walk the foot underneath you over to the side as you slide the left leg back. So we're coming into pigeon. Okay, so ways that you can make pigeon easier. There are loads of ways. So you can keep your weight entirely on your hands, and then there's no pressure on your knees whatsoever. If you feel comfortable to take the weight out of your hands, you can also use a bit of cushioning. If you want to lift that hip a little higher, you can add a cushion underneath there. And you can change the position of this knee so that some people's pigeon looks like this, and other people's pigeon looks like this. So you're going to find your place that feels like you're finding the edge that your hips are thanking you for, wherever that might be. Okay, and then come up high on your fingertips. Roll the shoulders away from your ears. Think of where your kidneys are, your lower back, and just lift up out of that space. And then as you exhale, walk your hands forwards, forehead towards the floor. Can be quite nice again to have a cushion here and to just lay your head down on the cushion. Inhale as you come back up. Press into the hands as you return to a little bit of a cat-cow. Let's take some circles here. Check everything's good with the lower back. Your body is entirely happy with everything you're doing. And then when you're ready, slide your left knee forwards. Foot moves underneath you. Nemo says hi. Walking the left foot or the right foot back behind you. Coming up onto your fingertips. So again, you can keep the weight in your hands, take a little wriggle. You can use the cushion beneath your sitting bone to give you a little bit of stability. You can have the cushion in front of you, ready to lay down over the top of it. Inhale, and then when you're ready, walk your hands forwards, forehead to the floor. And then when you're ready, making your way slowly back up. And we're going to come back onto all fours. And then we're going to take frog pose, which is definitely, if there was ever a pose less glamorous than happy baby, this is the one. You're going to take your knees out wide to the edge of the mat and have your feet following the line of your knees. So your shins follow the line of the mat. And then you're going to walk your hands forwards and bring your forearms down to the floor and let your heart drop down to the floor. And then from here, that might be enough for you today. I think it might be for me actually. But if you want to, you can start to slide your knees further apart. So you're really getting a stretch on the inner thigh. It's like my worst nemesis of a pose. And then for some people, they love to do this rocking backwards and forwards here into the hip joint. I'm actually the worst person ever to demonstrate this pose, but I didn't want to skip it out because I know how great it is for your hips. And then when you're ready, come back up onto your hands. And let's come to sitting. A few more poses before we finish. Let's start with legs apart. Toes pointing upwards. And then slide the heels in a little closer so the knees are soft. Take a wriggle. And move your hands forwards between your legs. Inhale as you sit up, get the spine nice and tall. And as you exhale, walk your hands forwards. So the knees bent is supposed to give you a little bit more leeway. Anyone who wants to can straighten their legs and have their toes pointing upwards. As you can see for myself, this is not somewhere where I have an enormous amount of flexibility, but it does feel really nice. Rocking gently from side to side. Trying not to sort of slump forwards, but instead to kind of have this lift up through the heart as you come forwards. And then inhale as you come back. And then soften the knees, bring the knees together, legs straight in front of you. And let's bend the left knee, take the sole of the foot to the inner thigh, right toes pointing upwards. Inhale as you lift up and exhale as you come forwards. Taking a wriggle, taking a breath, making some space. It's just a morning practice. We don't need to be applying for our place in Cirque du Soleil this morning. And then inhale as you come back up. We're going to slide that foot slightly further forward so that our torso, our hips come to a slight angle. Right hand on the inside of the right arm. Left hand behind you. Turn to face the left arm. As you inhale, reach it up nice and high, super tall, and take the arm overhead. And now the right hand can work its way over towards the right heel. And there are people that will be able to catch their toes with this hand. I can't. But there are people that will be able to. And I believe it feels very nice if you can do that. But what I quite like is when you inhale, just lift up through that top elbow. And then as you exhale, relax a little further forward. Inhale to lift up through that top elbow. Because I quite like getting that stretch in between the intercostals to the side there. Okay, and then coming back up to center. We're going to do the same on the other side and then we're done. So give the legs a little shake. Now the right heel comes in, knee drops out to the side, sole of foot to the inner thigh. I didn't mention, did I? But you can always grab a cushion if that knee is flying high. Feels quite good. Inhale, take your arms up. And exhale, come forwards. Chin towards chest. Drop the eyelids here and feel into your breath. And then inhale as you come back up. I'm going to remove that cushion. Slide the left heel forwards, coming to a slight angle on the mat. Left hand inside the left leg, right hand behind. See if you can find the sitting bones there. Look back behind you as you inhale, sit up nice and tall. Reach the right arm up. And actually that might be enough for today. I feel like it almost is for me. Exhale, the left hand can slide down towards the heel, the right arm goes overhead. And again, as you inhale, maybe lifting up through that top elbow to look up higher. And as you exhale, dropping into a little bit deeper of the side stretch. Inhale as you come all the way back up. And take your legs straight out in front of you. Give them a shake. And let's close by bringing the soles of the feet together, holding onto your toes, bouncing the knees out to the side, rocking, dropping chin to chest, crown of head down towards toes. Well done, everyone. Let the knees come back together. Go and have a beautiful, glorious day. Namaste.